Welcome to another edition of the Metal Voice, and Jim, for all Accept fans out there,
yes,
a special treat's on its way, and pretty soon.
Yes,
Four
of the first four albums by Accept.
The first pair.
The first four platinum. They call it the Platinum Edition. The first four albums being re-released
Bonus tracks
on AFM Records with bonus tracks, and I think they told me they're remastered as well. I heard the tracks, I heard all the albums,
there you go.
And it sounds pretty remastered to me.
Jim. I don't have to. There's the original.
There's
on vinyl. Vinyl.
What can we say about the first album, Alan? I mean, sound-wise.
Well, I don't know, Jim.
You don't know? You never heard it?
No, I mean, look, we spoke about this before. I mean, you got to go back to the time that these were released. It was all transitioning over from a kind of hard rock sound, moving into what new ribbon, and so they fit right there. It's the sound of the times, but they're a little bit too much, all over the place for me.
Yeah.
If we talk about the sounds, I mean, we talk about these editions and the music. Well, they're re-releasing it for a reason, because I think stuff like this is pretty darn hard to find, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So we got Lady Lou's, a typical kind of...
and a song that they play today.
Yeah,
Here and there. So
for me, this one is a bit of everything. I think Peter sings a few of the songs.
Peter sings on 2 tracks.
So it's a typical album for that time period. Late 70s, you got a little bit of the kind of... I don't know what you call it, hippie influence stuff coming out of the 70s.
I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of the tracks the music sounds like Scorpions, the Uli John Roth era. You hear a lot of that.
That's a great parallel, Jim, because the Scorpions themselves, who were a major influence to anybody coming out of Germany, because they saw that it could be done.
Yes.
Somebody could go international.
Yeah.
They were at that point themselves, but I can name other bands that were doing the same thing. April Wine went to a harder sound around that period. Y&T, they were doing stuff that they kind of refocused in the early 80s to get more onto the metal side of it.
Yep.
There was a ton. Riot was one there. Their first album was pure just hard rock, and then So again, this album is really of that era.
That's it.
Udo's voice is not necessarily like you expect.
Not screaming.
Like balls on the walls and that. No, they had a few. But what I did find interesting, Jim, is some of the guitar interplay that was much more famous on later albums. You can hear hints of that in this first album.
Yeah. And you know what? On the Platinum Edition of the first album, the bonus stuff is Udo actually talking, and he's talking about the early days. He says that from 1973 to 1976, that material was written. Even Wolf Hoffman has said in the past that a lot of this album consists of material that was...
With Michael Wagner.
Michael Wagner. And again, I mean, there's not much more to say. He talks about those days, the making of the album and the album being released. So it's pretty cool. You get a little bonus interview with Udo there.
There you go.
All right, so let's go to the second one, Alan. Alan. Accept... I'm a rebel.
Yeah, I mean, that song was around forever. AC/DC, they gave it to them to record at one point, amongst other ones. It was written by, I think, one of the Young brothers, in fact.
That's right, Alex Young.
Yeah, and they, it was what it was. They're trying to get a hit, I guess, and it's kind of a catchy tune. And
to me, it was, I mean, if you look back at the time, this is 1980, the Sex Pistols were probably, coming on strong in 1977. It sounds like a Sex Pistols tune, I'm a Rebel. I mean, of course, minus the voice of Udo. Put on the Sex Pistols, no, never mind the Bollocks, and then put on this song and say, yeah, there is definitely a sort of a pop punk feel to that song.
Again, at this point, you can go back to the early Crocus albums.
Yeah.
Same thing, kind of a hard rock sound. Really made it their own on Metal Rendezvous, which is a great album. A little bit of all over the board, but a very good album. And then they went to Hardware, kind of tradition. Then they went to One Vice at a Time, which was a pure AC/DC kind of a rip-off there. And then made it themselves again in Headhunter. So again, it was that period, trying to lead into a harder sound. There's some good standout tracks on that. Do It, I think, is on that one.
Yeah. And now Udo, he's starting to sing in sort of that balls to the wall voice.
Yeah.
And he does a great job, actually. If you really listen to the intricacies of his vocal lines, man, he's really coming into his own, right? What I don't like about this album, I'll tell you right off the bat, is I love Peter. Don't get me wrong. The guy's got a great voice, but it just kind of like, you know, you're listening to Udo, and then you get Peter, and it's like, it's kind of like a different band's playing now, right?
Yeah, different, exactly.
And they did that on the first album, 2 songs, and they did it on this album, 2 songs. Again, he's got a great voice, great bass player, great contributor to the Accept group. But it kind of like there was 2 bands, sort of like the Scorpions when Uli John Roth started singing. It's like, what's going on here? Why doesn't Udo sing these songs? Anyways, you know, again, they're just developing, right?
Yeah. Now, Jim, for me, this is where it gets confusing.
Yes.
Because there's an album that came out around that time called Midnight Highway. And this has not been re-released.
No, it's
but
very
songs
cool.
off here is Breaker, which is off the Breaker
Where'd you
album.
get that from?
Hell Driver, Lady Lou, China Lady, that's rock and roll. Son of a Bitch, which is on the next album we're going to talk about, Breaker.
But
So I don't know this one for myself. Not a clue. Not a clue what this is. This is probably, I don't know, you got to get another record out there, but it's 2 or 3 songs from all the other albums. It's not a greatest hits. It's actually called Midnight Highway because they did release an album called The Best Of,
Yeah,
except in the same period, which are songs off of these albums. So let's get to Breaker. A lot of people say, well, this is where Accept stops.
That's it. So, you know, the Bob wire to the ladies' ears. I mean, Udo is, you know, quoted saying that, you know, he broke, I don't know, like 30 mics during the recording out of anger. He's really come into his own. Wolf is coming to the band is coming into their own, right? It's vicious. It's got a great production.
And this version of Son of a Bitch is not the sanitized version that was released on a few of these albums. It was the one that was on their Best Of at that time. And it's the one that does not hold back.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely hilarious.
I mean, there's some great
about
songs.
A former manager.
Yeah.
So they let it all out, and for the time it was quite daring, I must say. Not like what we're hearing today on the radio or any music store when you walk in, but this was pure anger on their part.
Now Peter sings again on this album, right? On Midnight Highway, and this time it's a lot better because he's mixing it up with Udo, so it sounds great. It sounds like a Judas Priest song, right? Does it not?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say
you love the song Breaker.
I love the song Breaker and Starlight, and it's
Burden.
great song. So there you go, Breaker, phenomenal again, including 1 or 2 live tracks from the Durkenschneider tour. And let's really bring it out here. Here we go, Alan. Here we go.
Now this is the American album cover.
There we go.
Restless and Wild.
Restless and Wild. I mean, what's 1982?
There you
1982.
Go. There you go. I mean, right there, we were just talking.
And this
1983. I got this one was 1983. That's probably the North American release.
That's a North American release.
Yeah.
And Gabby. There you go. Gabby is the first. She's starting to write the lyrics for the band known as Deefy. Is it Deefy?
That's right.
I mean, what can you say about this album? I heard the Platinum Edition, and I found the sound was a lot better on the Platinum Edition. Maybe some sort of remastered, a lot more bassy.
Right.
And I think this album, as I hear it as a record, and I hear it on CD, like originally when it was released, not on CD but on vinyl, it was a little too trebly for me. The production was a little off, but I think they've kind of fixed that with these new versions.
For Jim, you know, back in the day, they had Circus or Hit Parader magazine kind of concentrated a lot on what was happening in the music industry. So there's a lot of hard rock and metal. I read a little blurb about this band coming out of Germany and Restless and Wild. And I finally, okay, I got enough money saved up. We're going to go and buy it. And just Fast as a Shark alone.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You blew your mind. Heidi, Heido, you didn't know what the hell was happening. And then they play this. But the rest is a very strong album. I mean, some that I've always loved is, of course, Neon Nights, that you still play today. Princess of the Dawn. Then you probably got leftovers like Flash Rocking Man and Don't Go Stealing My Soul Away.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of made harks back to their earlier period.
Yeah.
But you can see where they were going. And of course, these are the 4 released before the Balls to the Wall album, which just exploded worldwide.
Yeah. And Michael Wagner engineered that album.
Michael Wagner, yeah.
And also, Herman Frank, this was his first album that he played on. So, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a little
Well, there's still, did he really play on it? Did he really play on it?
Well, he was
it's the first, he was credited to playing it.
Maybe joined.
But that, we won't get into that. It's too confusing.
It's another show.
That's another show.
Well, there
so,
you go.
guys, check it out. This is early Accept. You can't get any earlier than this.
Yeah.
The first 4 albums re-released as a platinum edition. Some bonus tracks in there.
Yep.
An interview with Udo. and highly recommended. If somebody's unfamiliar with their back catalog, this is a great way to start. We've always requested,
Yeah.
even though you asked Wolf himself, the man himself, when can we get some of the later, I'm like, Objection Overruled,
Yes.
and
yes.
The Law, what is the one?
So the Metal Voice is calling out to AFM Records and saying, hey guys, why don't we re-release Predator,
That's the one I was thinking of.
Death Row,
Death Row.
and what's the third one?
Objection Overruled.
Objection Overruled. Let's
These are
get those
albums that are
re-released.
extremely hard to find.
Yes.
And it'd be
Two great
interesting to see if we can get those re-released.
So there you have it. Accept. Looking forward to more platinum releases. Alan, speaking of Anvil, even though it's nothing about Anvil, tell me about. I mean, okay, we went to interview.
Interviewed Lips and Robbo. Mostly Lips, but Rob was there again. Live guys, hard to beat. You gotta get out there, see them on this tour. Talking to the tour manager, a lovely lady, very interesting to talk to her. Rob gets better every night. He did Swing Thing off of Juggernaut of Justice, so if you're familiar with that, it's got kind of a jazzy feel, then it goes into really what Anvil does best, but the drum, and then that leads into Robbo's drum solo. Unbelievable. People were all there with their phones taping because their jaws were just dropping. Again, a crowd of a couple of hundred, and Lips is enjoying as if he's playing to 20,000 people or 30,000 people. I mean, that's what it's all about, the musicianship. Great interview, one of my favorites interviews, one of the easiest interviews, because Lips has got so much to say, so much interesting stories. He's seen it all over the last 40 years. Again, I can't emphasize, my Anvil shirt's in the wash, by the way. But again, I can't emphasize what a great live band they are. Start off with March of the Crabs off of Metal and Metal.
Classic.
Right away, first song, within 30 seconds, Lips is in the crowd playing his solo wireless guitar in the crowd within the first 30 seconds of the show opening. Back on doing 666, Madra, some of the newer songs, Daggers and Rum off the new album. It was just some interesting song choice, a great set list. Winged Assassins, also from Forged in Fire, a lot of the older songs. But again, it's just to see their pure joy of playing their music.
That's the key.
That's something.
That's the key.
Jim, you don't see. We want to get into it. I saw Def Leppard less than 3 weeks ago.
Anyone like this? Hello, everybody.
And it was
hello, everybody.
The closest thing I've ever seen to a Vegas lounge act. I'm sorry to say, I saw Def Leppard on their first headlining tour back in '83, and then we can't compare the two shows. I mean, this is bloated. This is typical. It's bloated. It's
old band's bloated.
No, but I mean, where's the passion? It's not rock and roll, man. It's where's the passion? It's going through. Here, this is the time.
I am Joe Elliott. I am Joe Elliott.
Time. And then we won't get into Poison. I mean, the Poison. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up? Hey, I'm Brett Michael. Hey, something to believe in. Yeah, hey, how you doing? Yeah. No. And Tesla was. At least they had. They were the only ones that showed some originality. Some of their integrity is the word I'm looking for. And then you take that show where now we're going to a club, which maybe a couple hundred people were there, and then you see the pure. That's what it's all about. The smile on Lips' face says it all, man. Within 30 seconds. That's what it's all about. That's the real.
Todd LaTorre said it best. It's like someone just let him plug in for the first time, and he's so happy about it.
4 bands, they're running late, and it's like, guys, we just want to get on the show. I don't care what time we're supposed to go on. The show, the drums are set up, everything was set up. They just walked on stage. No big intro, no dimming of the lights, no big flashing screens. 3 guys walk on, plug in. I started the Anvil chant that night, I must say, because we were all standing there. These guys just walk on the stage, and they're plugging in, and it's quiet. Why is it quiet, Jim? Right? So, Anvil. That's how we start. I started that. Thank you. I'll take full credit for that. Everybody gets in. Lips turns around. He's already got a smile. He hasn't even played a note. A huge smile on his face. We're ready to go. We're off and running. It was a great show. If you got a chance to see Anvil live, you've got to see it. It blows the records away. Robbo, you can't. I mean, I've said it on so many occasions. One of my favorite drummers of all time. Yeah. And he's still as incredible today as he was back in the 80s. maybe even more so. So treat yourselves. When Anvil comes to your town, go out and see them. You will not be disappointed.
And everybody stay tuned. We have an interview with Lips. I mean, we're going in depth here. We're going in with the real in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at sort of like the making of the movie, his opinion on the bassists over the years, just, music in general. And Lips, we really get detailed there, Alan. It was a
great interview.
I think it was something like an hour long. It's got to be shaved down to 30 minutes, but it was very, very...
For our long viewers, people have been there since the beginning. You know as well as we do, we try to slip Anvil into every conversation we ever had. Any show we had, we always try to slip an Anvil. And for myself, it was a personal joy to finally, after decades, getting to meet Lips and Rob.
It's so funny because we had so many other opportunities, but we missed... whatever the case was,
life got in the way.
Life got in the way, but we finally
nailed him down.
Met him, and we did a great interview. And
So stay tuned for that interview. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as we did. But again, get out, see Anvil. You will not be disappointed. They're very hard to beat, and I'd hate to follow them. If I was, they're an opening band for a lot of the festivals. Good luck trying to follow these guys because you can see it's authentic, it's real. They're doing it, like Lip says, you quit something that you don't like. Why would he quit making music when he enjoys it so much? And you can see it on his face, as plain as my hands in front of you here. So that's what it's all about, compared to some other shows, which I won't mention, that are kind of it's like watching Elvis almost at the end of his career. You know what I mean? It's really, really...
All right, Alan, let's wrap it up.
There you go.
Wrap it up. Thanks for watching another edition of The Metal Voice.